Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We'll now be looking at a topic of how big data and AI is reshaping insurance and insurance models. With us today are a panel of esteemed experts looking at different elements of insurance and insurtech. Our moderator for the day is Kent Clint, who is with Plug and Play APAC. And I will now hand over to Kent to introduce the rest of the panelists and take you forward for the rest of the panel. So thank you very much, and over to you, Kent.
Thank you, Moshir, for the introduction. Hi, everyone. My name is Kent. I'm the Corporate Partnership Manager at Plug and Play. Let me do a quick introduction of ourselves. So Plug and Play is a platform. We're working with over 500 corporate partners, and out of those 90 plus are insurance, which is our largest vertical. We help corporate partners, find the best startups to work with. And here on the panel, we have Yannick, Anu, and Alan. Allow me to first do a quick, definition of, so setting the scope of what we're gonna discuss today. Really the key theme that we're talking about today is AI and big data and how they reshape the insurance industry, right? And where we see innovation happen in the insurance industry is mainly around, 4 key things: product innovation, channel innovation, service innovation, of course, operations innovation. And with that, let me pass the time to our panelists. Let them do a quick intro of themselves and their organizations, and where do you see AI being used in your organization, in the above 4 key categories. Maybe let's start with Alan.
Sure. Hi, my name is Alan Howe. I'm the head of program management here at OneDegree Hong Kong Limited. We are a very relatively young insurance company. We started in 2017, but we only got our license to sell insurance in about 2020. And our flagship product now in Hong Kong is pet insurance and also fire insurance for homes and properties. And where we see AI being used, we actually don't do as much AI because we're still a very young company, but we do a lot of big data right now. So because we're so young, there's a lot of trouble just trying to keep all the get all the disparate data and different data silos back together in one place, so everyone in the team can actually query it to build things on top. So our challenge is really on data gathering and big data. Mm-hmm.
And next one, Anu, please.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Anu. I'm joining you from India. Well, in my case, as of now, I'm working as an insurance consultant independently, helping out the new age insurtech companies to set up offices in India. Everybody's trying to solve a part of the problem of the entire insurance value chain, and I'm happy to be contributing to that. In terms of my background with the largest monopoly insurer in India at the time, I was there, and I've had the good fortune of working in operations and business development within a banker space as well as an agency space. So there's a lot we can talk about, and I look forward to discussing the future of insurance with all of you. Thank you.
Thanks, Anu. And Yannick, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm Yannick, based in Hong Kong. I work for Swiss Re, which is the #1 reinsurance company globally. We have more than 150 years of experience in providing wholesale reinsurance and risk management solutions across the world. Our mission is to make the world more resilient, and we do it by applying fresh perspective, knowledge, and capital to anticipate and manage risk. So we create a lot of smarter solutions, in particular with AI for our clients, helping the world to rebuild, renew, move forward, especially after a risk have happened, or use data to prevent risk to happen. I'm part of a global team within Group Operation that is named Group Data Services, where basically we define and help to execute the global data analytics strategy. And in my team, we have about 90 data scientists across the world that apply advanced analytic techniques to basically solve our major data challenge, either internally or with our client, with our partner, all across the world. And of course, due by the location, have a bigger focus on APAC, where I've been working on for the last 11 years.
Thanks for the intro, Alan, Anu, and Yannick. Let's first start it by discussing some of the trends that are happening around, AI and big data in the insurance industry. Maybe we can start off by asking Yannick, since you just finished your introduction, well, where do you see the role that reinsurers play in AI adoption?
Sorry, just when it was my turn, I lost the unmute button, a classic. So reinsurer worldwide are already well-established relationship across all the value chain of insurance, with the primary insurer, with the brokers, with all the different partners, and more digital partners that are now interesting to understand the new protection needs, as well as help us to create this data-driven solution I was referring to, that are by nature bringing two elements into play. One is leveraging data to better understand customer needs and create new product or enhance the existing product to match the protection needs needed by clients or by corporate when we speak of commercial insurance. And the second is to use data to basically understand better the risk. So once you've understand the need, you can create product that fill the need, but then you need to price this product. You need to underwrite this product. You need to automate the services with this new technology and data that's enable you to basically understand the risk that you onboard in your portfolio, better manage the risk, prevent risk as well. So for me, the role of reinsurer is to leverage the risk model that they have built throughout the years with the actuaries and underwriters, and bring this data insight from customer or from risk at scale with either automated platform or AI solution that's not only bring the best AI techniques that exist today, but also do it in the resilience way, which mean looking at responsible AI or FEAT, so fairness, ethics, accountability, transparency principle that's we are working on as we speak with regulators such as MS in Singapore. So there is a lot that reinsurer can do at the back of all this big value chain, but also we see reinsurer adopting different kind of business models from traditional reinsurer role to basically provide even more value to primary insurer and all their digital partners. I will stop there and give a bit more time to the others.
Yeah, that sounds very good. And I think one key word that you mentioned, very important, is at scale, right? So we know that there are a lot of attempts, POCs, and pilots that are going on in the insurance industry. And what's most important, it's about bringing them to the market, to at scale. So Anu, I know that you have been an independent consultant to many insurance companies. What are some of the AI use cases that you have seen that's gone at scale? Maybe you can give us some particular example for India.
So, well, I think one of the first questions you asked us was, firstly, you need to define innovation before you're able to talk about, any kind of methodology that is being used to bring innovation on the table. So as far as innovation, to me, it means it has to be, an impactful problem that is getting solved with this particular innovative method. And it needs to be creative. it needs to be original, and it should really address a problem which which is creating a lot of problems for the business, or it is it is really going to impact the customer in a certain way. So while there is a lot of AI, there are different kinds of what should I say? There's machine learning, there's NLP, there are so many different forms of innovation, but it is the application and execution of it which is going to actually be the test of scale. And as you say that at scale, there are very large players within India. There are the government institutions and there are the very large private players. However, in my experience, what I see is that the problems, at the very first level are being addressed by the smaller players who are a little more nimble, a little more agile in innovating, thinking, and applying something. The larger organizations obviously have their own innovation cells within the organization, but for them, the application and the overall environment to make sure that the existing legacy system and the and the budgets and the return of investment of those kind of innovations need to make sense. So in terms of, for me, innovation has to be something that I can apply, that I can talk about, that I'm able to justify to my promoters and my people who are funding my organization, to make sure that yes, whatever that I deliver needs to come will come at a price, but it needs to provide a solution to an impactful problem. So if you ask me what is it that the use cases that are being driven, so there are the first thing that I'm very excited about is of course the blockchain platform that is getting utilized. We need to remember that insurance doesn't operate in silo, that yes, we do operate in a silo, but that's not the ideal environment for insurance to operate in. We are a part of a very large financial ecosystem, and a large part of our distribution is done by the banks. It is done by third-party distributors, which may not be a bank, and a large part of our distributors are also the non-banking finance corporations that are giving credit to people. So insurance has to play a part within each of these, has to be a part of this larger ecosystem, and it needs to innovate much faster. The pace at which we are going today, at least from an insurance standpoint, is still way behind our banking cousins and our NBFC partners. In terms of what is happening in India, well, India has the India stack, which includes Aadhaar, which gives every Indian a digital identity, and the government has driven it, it's really driven it so well that everybody today, even in the last 2 years of COVID, they've been pluses and they've been minuses, but I think the kind of the kind of consolidation that it has done in terms of making sure that even the rural people within India are getting some kind of support from the bank. It's all because of the kind of digital adoption that banks have taken. I think insurance has been very, very fast in the uptake in the last 2 years, but it's still it's still catching up. So we are still in a situation where use cases are being done at a smaller scale right now, hoping that all of these are going to work. One of them that I can talk about, which happened a couple of years back, was the blockchain that one of the larger general insurance players had, which was a travel insurance where if there was a flight that was delayed, the claim would happen through the blockchain platform, and you will get a credit into your bank account directly. So I think that was one of the successful use cases. However, like I said, it is an evolutionary process. There is no one, there's no one place to say that, yes, now we are there and we don't have to do anything. So again, it has gone into some kind of, some kind of an evolution. So let's wait and watch. So this is one of the use cases, and I can talk about more as we go along in our conversation.
Sounds good. So blockchain is really, starting to be deployed in India, and especially in the travel insurance industry. That's good to know. And for Alan, in terms of, use cases that are deployed at scale, either at your company or broader, in the insurtech industry, what have you seen, from Hong Kong?
Oh, definitely. I just want to do also a little bit of reply to how Anu pointed out how small players pick a technology stack versus how bigger players pick a technology stack, and how smaller players are nimble like us. And there are also some lessons that I learned in our journey as a startup. So at the beginning, when we were collecting data, we thought, oh, we need a very good database that can handle, petabytes of data, like billions of rows. But then once we launched our business, we just found out that no, we didn't actually have that much data to collect. And also so the database we ended up choosing right at the beginning was Google BigQuery, or I forgot whether it was Amazon Redshift. So it's like a type of database that is designed to ingest so much data that you can feed in like machine generated data, then you can have billions of rows and you can do like real-time queries, things like that. But they charge you so much, they charge you per query, and it was too expensive to deploy at that moment. And so that's one of the detractors. And then the second one was that not a lot of engineers around us in Hong Kong and APAC are experts at these type of databases. So then after 3 months of deploying these like super big databases, we rolled back and say, why don't we start with something that's more generic than everyone understands and all engineers sort of have a good experience on. And then so we chose Postgres. So if any engineers are with us today, they'll understand like, oh, Postgres, maybe they can only handle below 20 million rows per table. But guess what? I think that is enough for financial data, enough for insurance data, for like perhaps 80% of the use cases. So that's something that we learned, is to be friendly to more engineers than to favor like some crazy technology stack that can shove all your data in. And then once you have more business and more volume requirements, then you think about moving towards a more specific technology stack to tackle that problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. I think that's a very practical piece of advice for that. And for Yannick, maybe given that Swiss Re is covering a lot of part of the value chain and the broad geographic coverage, could you comment on what are some different AI use cases that you see more mature in different markets?
Yeah, so maybe first I can in a few seconds give you a broad aspect of the AI-enabled solution that are starting to emerge across the insurance value chain. And then I will cover your question more on what is more emerging in APAC and what is in the rest of the world. So it's not new that insurers have leveraged their data and technology to create advanced analytics model, needs analytics model, propensity to buy, risk segmentation, propensity to claim model have been existing now for 10 years for some insurers. What is new is the capability to transform unstructured data, so about 80% of the data the corporate have access to, into meaningful information by leveraging techniques such as NLP or CR that I mentioned. But also another new trend is that insurers are starting to not only leverage all the data they have access to from their customer and distributor, but also starting to have more and more partnership with alternative data partners, digital partners, e-wallet companies, digital health, digital ecosystem. They have their own app on which they collect behavioral data from the users, from the customer that they were not having in the past. In some jurisdiction, you have electronic health record where you can directly access data with the consent of the customer rather than asking them to declare health status, which is a big change on the way we understand the risk that we onboard. And more sensors that surround us in our cars, in our building, in our cities, on our wrist, that enable us to basically create this new interaction, understanding the risk customer are exposed to in a all different way. So all of this data enable now the insurer to really upgrade the existing advanced analytics model. And to reply your question, so looking across the value chain around the product and marketing, having access to Moderator enable you to create more contextual distribution to micro segments. have a better understanding of the needs of the customer, identify better the sales trigger, automate the sales compliance. That's something in particular that, for example, Ping An in China have done really well, leveraging technology, data, and especially the identity of individuals through their voice, through their face, to actually take out a lot of the business points, a business problem that they were having across their processes, and automate a lot of their processes. Then moving on to underwriting, you can leverage this data to create much more precise, personalized, predictive underwriting solution, which is something that as a reinsurer we've been working on, in particularly in US and Asia. And US will be more based on the electronic health record, for example, or the more digital data that we have access to with the consent of the customer. In Asia, it's actually the reverse. Maybe there is less historical data that we have, and there is a potential to actually leverage the data insurance have to better predict the risk you onboard, especially for existing customers. So that's something we've been quite good at in building such predictive underwriting model, just to name a few things that's starting to scale. Then moving on, then creating dynamic risk engineering processes with this data, dynamic pricing mechanism, a new way to engage with your customer as well, keeping them healthy longer, or providing them some real benefits to prevent risk to happen. And when a risk happens, to accelerate your claims, better identify, predict fraud, manage risk, reduce the loss, reduce the occurrence of the risk, better manage the claim with these technologies that's enable now you to build close to real-time feedback through the app or through the chatbot, if that's something that you're looking at. And then at the end of the chain is basically automation of risk retrocession, better management of capital, better management of reserve. That's also having a data-driven approach can enable you to reach some benefits there with this new advanced analytic techniques. So the list is quite vast of things that can be done. I think what works well is when the insurer, together with their partner, look first at what are my key business challenge. Where do I have data that can help to transform this challenge into a solution, and then how advanced analytics can help me scale the solution to really solve this challenge. And as you're looking first to the business challenge, then you understand the size of the price, and you can work on the challenge that have the bigger ticket to build straight away this AI solution that scale. And a lot of this happening at the background. I think Anu mentioned that, Alan as well, with the new players bringing technologies and platform. So a lot of this happen in the background to automate the existing processes. But then we also start to see a lot more visible to the end customer with new digital players that are providing some data-driven services that are quite innovative, quite new. Such as a parametric product in travel, for example. Anu mentioned that, but not only. So I think it's still very early days, but the future of this AI-enabled solution are bright, and hopefully it give you a good of the understanding of what the insurer, reinsurer, and all the partners, including InsurTech, are working on. And there is still a lot of work to be done in conjunction with the regulator.
Thanks, Yannick. That's a wonderful overview of how reinsurer, insurer, as well as InsurTech work together, to make use of AI. And indeed, there are a couple of use cases I pick out from your sharing, ranging from chatbot or OCRs, RPAs. These are really technologies that change every part of the user experience. Some are more front end, some are more back end. Taking chatbot, for example. The customers may or may not notice the difference. We at the Plug and Play have introduced a couple of different chatbot solutions to some of our insurance corporate partners, and some people might think chatbot is more about typing and chatting, just reading the text and then sending some messages back. But really, the technology now has gone to the stage of audio. So some of the chatbot solutions that we have recommended to insurance partners are so amazing that they can imitate different accents over the phone call. You know, and the market that we're working on is in Southeast Asia and India. So like their chatbot can imitate, you know, Indian accent, Singlish accent, Filipino, Indonesian. And when our corporate partners are testing this out, they are really, you know, more than amazed. They're a little bit scared. When we see that this kind of solutions gets deployed, you know, at scale, it really helps the clients, you know, in terms of saving cost, but more importantly, collect even more data, right? Because when you automate this, you start to train back the model, you know, AI and big data goes hand in hand indeed. So I really like what you mentioned just now, Yannick, about insurance companies are starting to collect also more data by using big data, and it really goes in a virtuous cycle. So I think with that, I want to move on to the next question around, you know, really how can insurers deploy AI? What are some of the key success factors and what are the key challenges that they face? And maybe let's start first with the success factor. And Anu, maybe you can help us start off with just one success factor that you think is most important for insurers.
So I think number one, there's not one thing that really makes, you know, a model successful beyond the fact that it is a play of, you know, how fast the consumers that they are reaching out to, which part, okay, let's start with which part of the process are they at this point in time using the AI in? Is it at an acquisition stage? If it is an acquisition stage, then you need to know whether the distributors are using it just as much. Most of the insurance companies, at least, well, 80 to 85% of the insurance companies in India have, you know, a significant size of agency, somehow, because they're all, you know, they're all trained. There's a certain process around it. When it comes to the agents, although they are trained, but it is also the ease at which they are using these AI platforms to really reach out to the people. They need to understand what all happens within that piece. So when it is at the sales end, it's a little bit more, you know, it's a little bit more on the subjective side. Over a period of time, I have seen salespeople picking up the, you know, how to use a tab and get the application process through a tab without a single operations executive is applying AI in an underwriting or a risk management setup, because they already appreciate how the logic works. They already understand that how important it is for them to do the business and their work right by applying the AI tools within their you know, scope of work. And today, all this while, you know, the last decade has been, it's not like AI is something very new. AI is being used, machine learning in certain ways has been used even in the last decades. And even before that, we are just framing it better now. And like, you know, Yannick said that a lot of unstructured data is now moving into, is making more sense with more structure given to it. However, my understanding now and what I'm seeing in the market now is that there is a lot of focus on claims, which was not there to this extent. Let's put it that way. I won't say it wasn't there. I'm sure it was there, but over the last 2 years with the COVID claims, you know, things have had to speed up from an AI application perspective. So the way I see it is that it is the adoption, how quickly you're rewarding people who are, you know, adopting it quickly. Do they understand? How are they being trained? So it is a multiplicity of factors that really, you know, come up, that there's not just one success factor I can give you, but there are these multiple variables that, you know, that ultimately decide whether the AI initiative that you're taking at an enterprise level is going to succeed or not.
Thanks for that sharing. I think that really covers, you know, goes beyond that just one success factor indeed. And It's more than just a couple of factors, but also like how the whole organization wraps around innovation, and really has to go top down. Whether it's agent engagement or back. I think the next section that we really want to talk about is adopting AI is not just something that every insurance company does on its own. A lot of times it's also about working with partners. A lot of time we're talking about build, always thinking between like which option should we pick, right? So let's start it off with that question. Should insurers or reinsurers develop AI and big data solutions in-house and partner with providers? In what situation does it make more sense to partner with providers? And Yannick, maybe you can help us take part of that question.
Thanks. Ship is actually in the middle of our data analytics strategy. First, because we cannot develop something just by ourselves, as our part in the value chain is really to support primary insurers or the digital partners. So there is I would say by default or since in our business model, basically by default, we need to work with partners, being the primary insurer or the data provider or the tech provider. However, it's very important also as a reinsurer existing IP and also the areas where we want to develop our IP. So very, very early on in the partnership discussion, we actually identified who are the partners that will help us to co-develop IP, who are the partners that are more data or distribution partners where the IP will remain with us, who are the partners that are just tech providers that have superior tech capabilities to ours, and that we should use basically to develop a solution, but the solution will be ours as well. And where on the other side of the spectrum, the partners that actually are in a much better position to take the lead, and we are more here on contrary to be the experts to support them to transform, for example, the super app, or I don't know how to call it, the big digital tech players that have access to customer, have a lot of data, but don't really understand insurance, don't really understand risk. This is where actually reinsurer, primary insurer together, we can help them transform the data that they have into something meaningful to bridge protection gap or to create maybe new protection product. But where by default, basically they will want to keep this IP and to keep this innovation within their own digital ecosystem. And we are basically the one at the back providing our expertise to make it happen at scale. So I think it's very important when you define your partnership strategy to be very clear about what kind of partner. Classify this very quickly in the relationship so that there is no there is no misunderstanding, because a partner might think that is one or the other. So it's very important to define this straight away and to basically discuss this before starting to build things, because once then you build the things and you're ready to deploy, then if all of this is not properly set, then this is a recipe for disaster. So that's basically how we're looking at. We have some very good initial success with our partners. You can follow all these announcements of solution we've built with partners on the Swiss Re website, but to name a few, one recently announced was Toshiba, where we basically helped to build a predictive maintenance AI model that leverage the industrial IoT data to basically prevent a risk before it happened on the supply chain of the factory. So this is something that we've built with them. We couldn't do it without them. They couldn't do it without us, I hope. and therefore it was making sense to work together and now to bring this to market at scale. Many other partnership with electronic health records, for example, with Diameter in the US. Well, here in Asia, we're working with a lot of different partners, digital platforms in China that we're working with, but also with primary insurer that we're very close to, and help them transform their own partnership into value with our risk expertise. So there is a lot of place for partners to bring value. It's important to be clear about what you want to do and before you start scaling it.
Yeah, it's exciting to hear that, people say the most traditional industry, insurance or even reinsurance, are very open to work with, tech and startups to, co-develop solutions for their clients. And allow me to just have a follow-up question to you, Yannick. Given that there are so many, insurtech and the fintech startups out there, how do you identify which ones are the best ones to work with?
I think to Anu's point before, I think she mentioned that the first thing is to know what is your business problem. What are you trying to solve? Or the customer problem you're trying to solve? And then identify the gaps. So it could be data. You don't have the data you need. Or it could be technology, it could be platform, it could be a way to engage digitally. We were speaking about chatbots. Then I think once you understand very clearly what is the business problem you're trying to tackle, and then that you have started to build the overall solution to tap this problem, then identification of the right partners will come much more easy because you know exactly what you're looking for, and then it's just filling the gaps. And it could be that you have a relatively good global data and tech partners, but that cannot help you for China. Then what you do, you go and look for the China partners that have similar capabilities and that can help you develop this in China. Or it could be the reverse, a very good data partner in Southeast Asia that have access to all the customer, but that basically is willing to develop worldwide. And then what a group like Swiss Re can do is we can open up the door of the insurance industry worldwide when we are successfully built a solution in a particular market. Or it could be also a regulator that asking you to test one of the framework, especially around responsible AI, or willing to basically create a regulation where in today's area where it's more gray, it's a gray area, not yet really regulated. Then you go out and look who is the AI tech or data partner that is close to this regulator or close to this problem that could help us provide an answer to this regulator. So there is not again a silver bullet of thing where you are a chatbot. This is exactly what you can do. It doesn't read text. It needs to be put into the more global context I was referring to, and then and then of course within the business challenge you're trying to solve, there are things that you can do in-house, but many things that you will need partner to fill the gaps, or maybe the partner will lead and you are the one filling the gaps. And I think it's very important for every parties in the ecosystem to keep this in mind. Yeah? The role could be very different.
That's very interesting comment. When you mentioned about sometimes the partner might lead, and in certain cases, the insurtech, startups are leading, solving the problem, and what they really need is a, insurer or even a reinsurer at the back to underwrite their product, and that has certainly happened a lot in the cases that we have seen
Yes.
when it comes to who is driving the innovation, right? And talking about this. It then naturally ties into a very interesting, trend, and that is super hot recently, especially in Southeast Asia, which is embedded insurance, right? And I want to turn this question to Ellen to hear your thoughts around, what are some different cases in embedded insurance, and have you seen that, in your company when it comes to the distribution of insurance?
Well, no. So I actually come from an engineering background. So a lot of these embedded insurance and all these insurance specific type of jargon, I might not be as familiar, but I was reading on it last night, and it was basically trying to capture more customer data where it wasn't there before, and you're trying to grow a new market. So correct me if I'm wrong, but so I'm trying to drive at a point on a special type of data that we're trying to collect that is like holistic wellness for people in health data. A lot of Western practitioners, doctors, hospitals, they all have like databases that medical providers can give you. But if you're talking about holistic wellness, a lot of those practitioners have zero tech. But then you might have Chinese doctors that specialize, and if you supply tech to these people, and you can somehow capture their data and know how many bookings they've had, and you have that customers' data, then you can cross-sell them insurance that is related to pregnancy in women and health in these health contexts. So we partnered with someone else who does wellness services bookings, and that is such a different industry vertical than insurance that we should not be the people doing this booking system. We need to find a partner to actually do that. And then so that's how we're kind of in the formulation stage of embedded insurance, trying to crack the nut of gathering these type of data, and then try to launch a POC, see if after gathering these data, if we cross-sell them specific types of insurance products that we think matches for these type of people, whether they will actually generate any revenue. Yeah, so that's how we're trying to go at it.
So that's a one.
Sorry, I just wanted to add a point here that, you know, the Amazons of the world, they are exactly embedded product again has been there in India with, you know, embedded insurance embedded with credit cards on the personal accident, you know, some kind of even hospitalization and those kind of benefits. But when I look at the new age, what Amazon is doing is that when you buy a particular product, it actually suggests what are the likely other products a person like you or people like you have bought from the same website. And if insurance could be something like that, where they say that if you're traveling to, say if you're traveling to Zurich on an airlines, then it actually comes up and tells you that people like you have bought these 3-4 different, travel insurance or baggage claim or things like that, or it could be even hospitalization in other parts of the world. So yeah, I mean, that's going to be the future, I guess, for embedded insurance product.
Thanks for adding that. And to close things off, I mean, today we hear about lots of things about building ecosystems, and working with AI, working with big data is about building ecosystems. So I want to pose one last question on what role do you see, VCs and accelerators play, in building a insurtech and an insurance ecosystem. Maybe I throw the question to you, Yannick, to close our day.
Well, thanks, Ken. As you know, we've been a strong corporate partner of Plug and Play for many, many years. We do have also access to other VCs and accelerator partners across the globe. I think a few years ago, maybe 5-6 years ago, we were still exploring and defining our strategy around tech, data, and innovation. So it was great to have access to this kind of players to basically open up our horizon, looking to the latest technologies and application of these technologies of data available for us to start thinking how to integrate this. Now, as I said, as we have a much more robust and maybe a bit of a long-term vision of how we want to play with these partners, and a lot of business case and implementing more than 1,200 advanced analytics use case across the world, we are a bit more clear about the role that we want to play within this ecosystem or across the insurance value chain. And it's only when we don't find the right partner that we then open up our use case to Plug and Play and other partners that do a fantastic work to help us identify, as I said, in the specific market or region of the world where we are looking for a specific data provider, technology provider, or different kind of solution provider. They will be the one providing us exactly the 2 or 3 that make sense for us to look at, and this accelerate basically our quest so that we don't need to actually constantly entertain a big portfolio of partners that we are not sure what to do with them. So that we can concentrate on the partners that provide us value at scale, as I was mentioning before.
Thank you, Yannick. And it's been a great pleasure, partnering with Swiss Re over the past couple of years, and look forward to, partnering with more financial service providers, around the world. And thanks again to Anu, Alan, and Yannick for this great, panel. Thank you guys for the discussion, and I'll pass the time back to Moshir.
Thank you so much, Kent. I think it was fantastically moderated. Great views. You've seen, industry practitioners. You've seen insurtechs and insurers talking about the key element of how AI and big data can transform. So thank you again. And we'll now move on to the last panel of the day, which will be on cloud computing and the use of AI and analytics on changing fintech. So for the audience, please stay tuned. We'll be starting in a couple of minutes very soon. And for the panelists, again, on behalf of everybody at Virtual FinTech Fair, thank you very much.